All right, welcome back to Just Boxing Live. I am your host, Sean Fitzgerald. We are here at Sweet Science Boxing Gym in Hawthorne, California, with a couple special guests here today. Thank you guys for joining me. I have, of course, you know what? I lost count of how many times you've been on here, so you're just a regular. You don't get baskets anymore. I'm gonna stop keeping count. Right? You just show up.
I'm the next co-host.
Yeah. So we've got ring photographer Luis Mejia. Welcome back, brother.
Thank you for having me back.
And of course, man, anytime. And then our special guest for today, which I'm going to try my best not to butcher your name. You can tell me, you can grade me when we're done.
Grade you?
Okay, yeah.
I'm sure you'll get an A.
Ring girl, as well as many things: a student, a ring girl, a model, and we'll get into a lot of that. Amaris Valeriano.
You did it perfect.
Oh, that's an A. I aced it. Welcome, guys. Welcome to Just Boxing Live.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
And this is a Just Boxing Live first, in fact. I have never interviewed a ring girl. I've had the opportunity to interview many young and talented professionals of all different sorts on this show, but you are my first ring girl.
I'm glad to be the first one.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure.
You're welcome.
Shut up.
Just kidding.
Who brought this guy?
Who is this guy?
He just shows up sometimes. You know what I mean? Like they all have other guests booked, and then he just shows up alongside of them. But it's okay.
I said he was my dad / bodyguard for the day.
He's your dad for the day?
Yeah, he's my dad and bodyguard for the day.
All right. Shout out to Cynthia Saldana who joined. Shenandoah, thank you for checking the sound quality. And hopefully the video stream is a little bit kept up today. We'll see. It doesn't look as though it's lagging behind. If you guys have any problems, definitely let me know. And, of course, like and share it out. Thank you. I appreciate everybody. Okay, this is a new setup, so I'm concerned that things like don't sound right or something like that. I have never set up the show like this before. You guys let me know what you think about the new table. Michael Shepard, shout out to Michael Shepard. Thanks for joining us. All right, so why don't we get started? Amaris, so you are, of course, a ring girl. I mentioned you're a ring girl, a student model. You've been doing, I think, I saw the first post of your inaugural ring girl event, I think, was KO High Boxing. Is that true?
Yes, it was.
At the Hollywood Avalon?
Yes, that was my first fight ever.
And that was like November 2018-ish?
I want to say, what is it, 2018 or 2017? I'm not sure.
Okay.
It might have been 2018, but that was actually a fluke that I was in that. I wasn't even supposed to be in that night. Actually, someone canceled the last minute, and they called me around noon and said, hey, can you get over here?
And KO High Boxing it's a pro-am show, so you see some professional bouts and some
there's usually
amateur bouts.
One professional or two at the end, and then there's amateur boxing before.
Okay, so it's amateur boxing lean. And how long of a day is that for you? Like, when does your day start and when does it end?
Luckily, I don't have to. I kind of get there earlier because they do a whole red carpet interview. They ask us how long we've been doing it and that type of thing. But if you're taking into hair and makeup into account, it's usually half the day. But unless you get called last minute, you have to get your stuff and go. But I usually get there 2 hours before the fight.
2 hours before the fight.
Yes.
Okay. Is that your sound? Turn it down, bro.
Which one is it? This one or that?
I can hear it. How many phones do you have?
He has 2 phones.
He has 2 phones?
I'm about to have 3 though.
Your personal number and your work number, or what?
Yeah.
He has one.
Okay.
I don't even want to say what they're for. I'm kidding.
Oh yes. Shut up.
Oh, real quick, let me give a shout out to Fidel from Talking Again Podcast, The Tap, which you were actually just a guest on The Tap. But it hasn't aired yet.
It releases Tuesday, I believe.
It releases Tuesday. So you guys make sure after this, on Tuesday, you can check out the interview with Fidel on The Tap Podcast. I've been a guest of his. Fidel's an inspiration of mine. So Fidel, shout out to you. And of course, Anthony Saldana, normally the co-host of this show, didn't make it here today. Stacks, share it out, man. Share it out because I don't know how to do all that stuff. We were having that conversation before this. I'm terrible with the social media. Absolutely terrible with it.
I have to find you a young person.
Yeah, I know. I need like
a little 5-year-old. They know more than I do at this point.
Okay, so we were saying that your first event was KO Boxing High. It's a couple hours. You have to show up a few hours before the fight. You mentioned doing things like the red carpet and stuff like that. I actually saw that you did an interview with ES Boxing News with Boxing's Ellie Seckbach. At one of the KO Boxing High events at the Hollywood Avalon.
Yes.
Do you remember that interview?
Oh, yeah. No, he's super cool. Actually, the first time I met him, I forgot when it was. It was the last fight he did, like, an interview with, like, at our seats. And then the fight before that, we didn't, I I think he was there really quick before when I was practicing in the ring.
Okay.
And then he was trying to ask me questions, but I was like practicing because they always give us a different setup. And sometimes depending on which way the camera is, you have to know which way to go in the ring. So it's always different every time. So I get like a quick, like couple moments to practice. And then so that was the first time I met him really quick. And then I was able to actually sit with him recently. The next time that was at the last one at the Avalon.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in that interview, you mentioned that you love doing events like the KO Boxing High event. And the other thing that you mentioned in the Instagram post, you said you'd always dreamed of being a ring girl. Can you explain? Is that true? Did you?
No, you know what? Actually, I was an ugly duckling when I was younger. I had little glasses and I always wore big jackets and I was just super uncomfortable with myself. And I never like dreamed of being in a ring. And then I think I just saw someone on Instagram and I was like, wow, I really would want to do that. Like, that's so much fun. And I just never thought I could even model in the first place. And then I just kind of, through Instagram, I was able to get found. And then luckily, they would always just choose girls with like, who are way better. They're gorgeous girls. And then one girl had to cancel last minute due to an emergency. And they called me in last minute. And it was just kind of one of those things where you figure it out really quick. But luckily, I had a really good agent who taught me. And she used to ring for Tecate as well. And she actually books the girls for Tecate. And she's like, I know this is your first time. We called you last minute, like a couple hours ago. She actually got in the ring with me, showed me what you got to do. Because the minute you step in there, too, is like, you guys have to think that the boxers are in tennis shoes. I'm in heels trying to bounce around and keep balance without kind of falling. And so she was able to get in and teach me what to do really quick. And then after that, once I knew how to do it, they kind of threw me in a couple other fights after that. So I got the opportunity to work with Thompson Boxing. I did MMA Spar Star. I was actually also able to do an LA Sheriff's fight against Sheriffs in London as well. Quiet Canyon last year, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was in the summer.
So you mentioned that you do MMA, and I've actually seen across Instagram that you're at some other sports as well, things like Grand Prix, things like, just different types of sporting events. In terms of the crowd, is the boxing scene different to you than doing other types of things? And if so, how is it different?
It's like its own little world. You start getting to know everyone. So especially working with the KO fights, you start getting to see the same people. So a lot of the same fighters, the amateur fighters, and then it's just a lot of the same people. I feel like you guys are your own community, your own little world. And it's just what's really cool is it's its own community. So the more fights you work, the more you see the same people. And you're like, hey, I saw you at this fight. So I worked Thompson Boxing, and I was able to see a couple of the same people that I would see at KO fights. And then so you're just starting to get to know people, and it kind of becomes like a regular thing where they'll be like, oh, I'll see you at the next KO fight. So that's kind of nice. And just like the hype of it, everyone, it's just mainly like its own little world, which is really cool. Just getting to know people and the own community of it.
Did you like boxing before all this?
Yeah, I did. I mean, my family would always get together to watch the fights, and that was a big thing for us. We always just get together and watch the fights. But I mean, like, for my uncles, it's a big thing. But for me, like, I didn't really understand it until I got there and I was able to sit ringside, because that's one of the pleasures of being a ring girl. You get to sit next to the ring, so you're like right there. And so just seeing, like, you can literally feel like the sweat dripping on you, like all the moisture. And so it's like a whole different experience sitting right there. And I feel like that's different than being in the crowd or behind a TV.
That's like the seat that I gave you the other day, my man.
Right? Yep. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. I saw that you got some good pictures.
Yeah, I got some pretty good
so
pictures.
It was interesting. We were at a fight together just by happenstance. I didn't know that you were going. I assume you didn't know that I was going.
I didn't know I was going.
Yeah,
See, it's a small community.
Yeah. So we happened to go there, and you were shooting photography for a couple of fighters who were on that card, and there was not a designated photography section. Right.
Yeah.
And so I had
were
a very good
Fantasy
seat.
Springs?
No, we were at Quiet Canyon.
Oh,
We were at Quiet
that's
Canyon.
what I had asked him about. Yeah.
And I had a very good seat, and so I let him borrow my seat for a couple
what a
fights.
nice
So that
person.
and he got some good shots, man.
I didn't get as good as shots that I wanted because the lighting is really freaking bad. But I mean, I got some good shots, so it was pretty cool. I appreciate it. Thank
The
you.
lighting messes it. Isn't there like some apparatus or something you have to strap?
Right.
like is there? I always feel like, man, when I see the types of equipment you guys roll around with, I don't know how you guys do all that. To be honest.
I mean, it's a passion for me, so I just
you understand it.
It's so funny. Sometimes I'm trying to jump in and I'm avoiding a cameraman, but they're like holding onto the side of the ring for like dear life. Sometimes trying to get their pictures and see popping underneath and stuff.
Do you ever kick the camera guys as they're leaning on the ring?
No, but you know what? You only have a certain amount of time to be in the ring and get out. Otherwise, they'll keep going. Like, they don't care if you're, like, still in the ring. They got to go do their thing. So you have to pop in, pop out. So a couple of times I've had a cameraman just, like, standing there, and I'm, like, dipping through them and trying to, like, move them out of the way. But sometimes their cameras are heavy, and I don't think they can move as fast. But in my head, I'm like, I got to get out of here.
Yeah, exactly. You guys are, like, almost like... particularly at the club shows that we have around here, like the types of shows that you'd see at the Hollywood Avalon, you're like a celebrity, and I mean that like in a good way, which is that like people will want to come and take photographs and do things throughout the fight. And at some of the smaller fights, there's not really a lot of protection against that in the sense that like anyone could just go wherever they want to go, right? So do you get hassled a lot at fights that are like the local club shows?
I mean, you see a lot of the same people, like I said, especially a lot of the same people in the crowd. A lot of them, I would say, are younger kids. I don't get hassled too much because a lot of them are younger kids who are aspiring boxers. So you'll see a lot of like the younger kids who like their coaches bring them to like get them excited, like they're gonna be future boxers. So I don't get hassled too much because it's mainly like little kids. Yeah.
Are you taking pictures the whole time?
No, you actually only because you have to be by the ring. Because like I said, once the wood slams, you're in and you're out. Yeah. So you only have like a couple hours before, which is why they usually do like a time before. KO specifically does the time before where they give you a special amount of time. And so they usually do a couple interviews. And then after that, they put you at the red carpet, or people can come up to you and ask you for pictures or after. But usually I don't get too much of an opportunity because like I can't walk around during the fights. I have to be right by the ring.
Yeah, so they put you before the fight, for instance. They'll stick you in front of a banner that says like KO or something like that, and then they'll have you take pictures before and then maybe after.
So how KO does it is they have a specific red carpet, and you wait there, and then you kind of wait your turn in line to do an interview. And then sometimes they'll put you by like a banner for a little bit, but you don't have too much time. And then actually Thompson Boxing, you go in and you change and it's the fight and you leave. So it just depends on the fight. KO does it because they want it about their fans too. They want their fans to feel like engaged with themselves. And Thompson Boxing, I think there's just so much going on. But they have us come like right then. So if you want a picture, you have to get with us right before. But it also depends on how many ring girls, because if there's only 2, I got to be paying attention to what's my round, because there's been a couple of times where I've gone in the ring and it's not even a round. And so, where people are like, it's your turn. And I listen to them. And then I got in the ring and like, they're in the ring and they're like, it's not around. So I got to pay attention. That's the other thing is during the fights, I have to pay attention. So I can't really be taking too many pictures because I have to pay attention to what's going on. So otherwise I mess up my one and only job,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So unfortunately, sometimes I don't have too much time, but I usually try and stick around a little bit after if people ask me for pictures. But honestly, it's mainly little kids.
Mainly little kids that you end up taking pictures with. That's cool, though.
I feel like it's more the dads pushing
You probably make their
kids.
day, to be honest.
Yeah, they're actually so cute. Yeah. No, there's a couple specific little boys. One of them, I think his name's Luis Arturo. He's usually at all the fights. Yeah, and he's this cute little... Yeah. He's so cute. He's always like, can I take a picture with you? So I have a couple pictures with him.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Shout out to a couple of people who joined on. Jeff Joyner, thanks for joining us. Sergio Big Serge Estrada. Big Serge, cut man extraordinaire in this business. Shout out to Big Serge. Thanks for joining us. We're here, of course, with ring photographer Luis Mejia and Amaris Valeriano, ring girl and student.
Yes.
So let's talk about that. You're actually you said that you have another year left.
Hopefully.
Before you and this is before continuing on to attempt to achieve your master's.
Yes.
What is it that you study?
I'm a double major in child development and speech and language pathology.
What is that second one?
So speech and language pathology is a speech therapist, basically. Yeah, so I can do a lot of things with it, but specifically working in an elementary school, or I could take into a hospital with people who lost their speech, and I could help them regain their speech as well. Okay. Anyone with any like language disabilities, or they have lisps, or can't say certain words. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
That is admirable. It's also a very interesting major. I would say I haven't heard many people say that this is what they chose in terms of career path. How did you land on that subject as part of your study?
I think I was younger and I was watching a documentary on the Boston Marathon and about a couple of the people got injured, and I saw one of the ladies, she lost her language because she got injured, and she was working with a speech therapist, and I told my mom, I was like, that's what I want to do when I grow up. And it was funny because my parents are teachers, and my whole life they're like, you should be a speech therapist, because I never wanted to be a teacher like them. And then I was all, but I knew I wanted to work with kids, but I just didn't want to be a teacher. And then so my mom was like, you'd be a really good speech therapist because you just have the kids for a certain amount of time. You don't have to be a teacher. And we were watching this documentary, and I was like, that's a really cool job. And she's like, oh, that's a speech pathologist. And I was like, I didn't know what it was. I was probably in high school or maybe middle school, like my 8th grade year. And I was just like, well, I want to do that. And then I actually dropped out of community college 3 times. And then I put myself back in. And then I ended up transferring community to Cal State LA. And that's where I attend now. And I was able to get in the speech path program. So
you do all of this at the same time as modeling, because I know we've talked a lot about the ring girl thing, but obviously looking at Instagram, you do a lot of different types of modeling.
Yeah, I do. Like a lot of promotional modeling, e-commerce. I've been blessed to kind of get a little handle on everything, so I know what I like and what I don't like. I specifically want to be in the ring. I think like even one of the captions on my pictures, I know it's stupid, but I say, put me in the ring and let me do my thing, and I'm the happiest girl, you know? That's where I want to be specifically. But I have also had a lot of like pleasures of doing a lot of different things, but I do a lot of promotional modeling for a lot of liquor companies, beer companies. So I've done a lot of things, thankfully. Yeah,
you were, in fact, a Tecate girl at one point, right?
Yes, I still work with them occasionally. Yeah.
Occasionally?
Yeah.
Tecate girl?
Yeah, they get to do the OC fights in Fantasy Springs. I've actually been to the Fantasy Springs fights to go see one of my friends ring. So, because with us, it's like a small little community of our own too, because we know who's a ring girl, and then so you kind of go and support each other also. So I've gone to go see Michelle Rivas. She's a Tecate ring girl. She does a lot of Fantasy Spring fights. So I've gone to go see her fights as well.
Is it a competitive community?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So like
absolutely.
The ring girl space, they're like, you know, there's some cutthroat going on there.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, and it's not us who chooses; it's the client who chooses. And I don't think that sometimes they understand what it is, but it's really hard to be a ring girl actually, because they want the thinnest, the fittest. It's really hard.
When you say the customer chooses, what do you mean? Like they have a lineup, or they're choosing from a headshot?
Yeah, there's usually a lineup. You go in, you try on the outfit. They see how the outfit looks at you. They take pictures of you in the outfit. And then because they have to take pictures of you on the outfit, because you have to think sometimes you're going to be on a screen. So they want to see how you're going to look on the screen, and the camera doesn't have 10 pounds. So you're always going to look bigger on the screen as well. So they go in, you have to, so it starts off with a headshot, a couple of the pictures, and then they choose from there, and then you do have to go in and try on a dress or whatever outfit they give you. And in my experience, they took pictures of me, and then they chose from there.
I wonder whose job that is. Who picks the ring girls? Shout out to Eddie Rodriguez Sr., who he's a matchmaker for local boxing community here. He does a lot, actually, of the matches in the Southern California area. Great matches. Eddie, who picks the ring girls? That's what I want to know. Maybe he can tell us. Who picks the ring girls?
Yeah.
But, okay, so it's a pretty extensive process then that you actually have to go through.
Because in the modeling industry, that's kind of like the thing that you want to be. That's the thing you strive for. Yeah. So, well, it depends on what your goal is, but that's the goal. Like you've done well if you made it into the ring. And
really?
once you make it into the ring, you get that experience, and you kind of put that under your belt, and you could do other fights. Yeah.
I'm learning so much about the modeling industry just through the course of this conversation.
Yeah, it's a whole different world as well, so it's a little tough.
Well, it's similar to the photography, because if you're not in, you're not in. But once you get in and people people notice you, they see you, and then they see your work, then it starts to grow, because that's how it did. That's how it happened with me. So.
I think it's all about your experience, your exposure, but also who's going to give you a chance.
Yeah.
And I got lucky. Someone had an emergency, and I was able to get put in. And once that kind of led the way for me, where I got more opportunities. And of course, things like Instagram helped. But with him, we were talking about on the way here is that he kind of had the same thing, is where he had to push his way in. I had to do something similar too, where I kind of was given one chance, and if I messed it up, you can't go again. So I think you have to keep pushing and trying, because I do get a lot of girls asking, oh, how can I be a ring girl? And it's not as easy. It was hard for me, so I'm always like,
back off. No,
I know.
You told them, that's my gig. You got to do this.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Oh, man.
It's just hard work.
A couple things on the chat real quick. Fidel says, can she do anything to help Anthony Saldana's speech? I don't know. I don't know. Fidel watches the show all the time, so he knows that Anthony struggles with names
He asked me, he's all like, do I have any lisp or anything after?
Oh man,
That's
Serge, Big
Stop
Serge
it.
Estrada says you're absolutely correct. I assume that you mean, Serge, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but correct about the niche kind of market having to work your way into that. So, what's Amaria's most memorable in-ring experience to date? So Fidel would like to know, what is it that is your most memorable experience in the ring?
I think the very first time, but this was more of an embarrassing experience because I forgot how many rounds there was, and no one was really paying attention. It was my first fight ever, and they threw me, and they're all like, "It's your turn, get in there," and that's when someone came up to me, and I was in the ring, and they're all like, and I was doing my thing, and I was feeling myself, and the guy goes, "It's not a round."
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But didn't someone have to hand you a round card? Like,
Yeah.
so they just gave you a random number?
Yeah, and then I just got in. It was my first fight, and I didn't know how many rounds there was. And then I guess we went through all the rounds, and then it's different because amateur fighting, I think, has less rounds than pro. So it was an amateur fight, and I don't know if they thought it was pro already or what. So I'm in there, and one of the guys in the ring goes, it's not another round. And I was like, I was mortified. I was like, oh my God. And I could, no one was really screaming either, but I was feeling myself. So I was like, oh my God, so what do I do? I just finished it and pretended like I knew what I was doing. And then I went back out, but they're all like, that wasn't a round. I was like, I'm aware now.
Oh man.
Yeah.
That was sabotage, I think.
Right? Hey. Yeah.
You ever people try and sabotage you, they stick their hand in front of the camera or something like that?
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Because he's the one doing that.
I can mention a few names.
Knock the camera out of your hand. Give it a kick.
Right.
Oh man. No, it's hard. I understand. No, and the other thing that I have to imagine is, so you're sitting, generally speaking, just a row off the ring, and like you said,
ringside.
Yeah, so you're experiencing all of that, all the sweat, everything that happens,
and sometimes we even get to walk in with the fighters too as well. Yeah, so we usually lead them in sometimes,
escort them to the ring.
Yeah, because you know how sometimes I know Tecate does it sometimes where they have girls red corner and blue corner, and they get led in. And then we go to our seats, so sometimes you get to do that too. It just depends on the fight and how they want it. Yeah.
Most of these shows, do they have 2 ring girls and you guys just alternate rounds?
It depends. Sometimes there's 2, sometimes there's 1, sometimes there's 4. So it really depends. I think it also depends on the budget. It just depends on different things. How big the fight is. Usually if it's a bigger fight or like the last fight of the year, they bring in 4 girls. It just depends. So I've done it where there's just 1. I've done it when there's 2. And usually there's been 4. So, yeah, it just depends.
So, it sounds like you really dig these kind of gigs, and you want to continue to do that. So, is there, aspirations for a type of fight or a type of event where you want to participate in?
Yeah, I really like Top Rank Boxing. I really like their ring girls. It used to be Tecate. Tecate used to be the dream, and then now I'm just kind of
Then you got the Tecate thing, and now you want...
I haven't done a fight under Tecate yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
You've just been a Tecate girl, but haven't actually been a ring girl.
Yes, it's very hard to become a ring girl. Yeah,
okay.
At least in my experience. I've been very close. I've tried on the dress and everything. I've been very close, but I haven't made it into a fight.
Okay.
So I've been very close. So last year I was like, this year will be the year for Tecate, and then I just kind of was like, whatever. Yeah.
Okay, so Top Rank, though, are the types of shows that you want to do.
Yeah, I really like Top Rank.
What is it about Top Rank that you find the most appealing compared to any other type of show?
I feel like at first they were kind of up and coming, and now they're there, and it's just I think their fights are so much cooler. I don't know what it is.
You just enjoy that. Have you been to a Top Rank event?
No, I haven't yet. I want to, but they look really fun. Yeah. And it's not just about it being fun either, but I think it's just I don't know what it is.
They seem, I think, more proactive with the models.
What do you mean by that?
With the ring girls, you see them outside.
Yeah.
Oh,
before
yeah,
the fights.
They get to be at the training sometimes before the a lot of the things. So
it's not just the in-ring experience.
It's not just the venue.
Yeah.
It's actually.
Yeah, you're right. And it's not just showing up the day of the fight. They get to do things before, and they get to travel, and
So what is the path like for getting, for instance, to be part of Top Rank's program? Is it just that you have an agency that helps you try and get into those?
But sometimes you kind of have to do it on your own as well. If you want it, you got to go for it. But it just depends. Some agencies work with things such as Tecate, which is what my specific agency does, and they also do KO. But then I've also did Thompson Boxing on my own, MMA Spar Star on my own. So a lot of the things I've seen ads for it and applied, like Top Rank, I've applied to, I think, last summer.
Oh, okay.
So there's applications, and every once in a while they'll throw them out, but you got to look for them, and you have to do it right then and there because they move fast. There's no waiting and reviewing a month for people. It's right then and there, and they're going to choose. So you got to have your best pictures ready, your best weight, your you know. And it's kind of funny because I feel like boxers have weigh-ins, but the girls kind of have weigh-ins too, because it's like if you're not ready, you can't be in the ring. So yeah, you got to be like your fittest and your best looking.
That's
also.
why you always got to be ready.
You always got to be ready. There's no slacking, no vacations,
no cutting
slacking.
the day of the fight, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely no missing workouts or anything.
So you just have to know where to look, I guess, in terms of finding these experiences.
you got to be really active, I think. Yeah. No. Okay.
So Top Rank, if anybody from Top Rank is watching this,
anyone for anything at this point,
anything. Well, you've got some already.
Yeah, I do. I have a good amount under my belt, but I want more. I'm thirsty for it.
So did you feel like there was a big difference between, for instance, the Thompson Boxing event, which is a pro show in Ontario, California, versus what you do for KO, which is predominantly amateur or pro-am, I guess? Or was it the same kind of vibe?
I want to say it was the same kind of vibe. Thompson Boxing was a little more like, I want to say like exciting. I don't know how to explain it, but like there's a lot more people, I think, too. Yeah. And it was a lot faster pace also. And KO Boxing is more like they want you to be active in the crowd a little bit. But also Thompson Boxing is the same way, so I don't even want to say that. But Thompson Boxing, I showed up and you change really quick and you go in. So it's also very different because it's just like you literally go in, you do your job and you leave. So, and KO Boxing, you get there an hour before. You're able to do interviews. There's a red carpet before. In Thompson Boxing, you go in, you work, and you go. Yeah.
Okay.
So, but the crowd is just as lively. I would say they're a little bit more lively, but yeah, no.
Speaking of lively crowds, do you have any events coming up, Lewis, that are you gonna go shoot Tyson Fury in Las Vegas or what?
I'm not sure. I don't think so right now.
You don't think so?
I've been taking a little break.
You're taking a break from
small little break
from boxing or from not from photography, obviously.
No. Just a quick break. I'm trying to reorganize myself.
Okay,
that's all.
Much needed R&R.
Yeah.
I know. I should do that.
He's decompressing.
I'm gonna take a break. I'm gonna go on a vacation. Yeah, we're gonna go. I was just looking at the producer saying we're going on vacation. Probably not.
Hey, I just got back from Cancun, so.
I saw that. Yeah, so you got back from Cancun. You actually mentioned that the day you landed, you went on Fidel's show.
Yes, I did.
So you landed back from Cancun that night and went on Fidel's show.
I'm in full-on sweats and airplane makeup and hair. Yeah.
Airplane makeup. And that'll drop on Tuesday. So just a reminder, if you guys want to follow up to this interview, check out Talking Again podcast on Tuesday, where you were their New Year's guest.
Yes, I'm the New Year's Eve guest,
Starting
off the new year.
Today she had to show off today.
What is that? D&G? I don't know like fashion and stuff like that.
Sorry?
I would not have noticed, unfortunately.
I just sweats.
Oh man. Have you seen anything in a boxing ring? So as you're sitting there ringside, are there any specific fights or things that stand out in your mind where you're like, I really remember this one fight or this one instance, or has it all been kind of?
I feel like sometimes it becomes a blur because you start working a lot of the same fights, and sometimes you see the same fighters. So sometimes, like I told you, I've seen Jesse Lobito fight a couple times.
Shout out to Jesse Lobito, by the way.
No, but I also told him, I was telling you, I think I saw one of Muhammad Ali's family members fight.
Oh, really?
I was like,
related
I think he was at one of the. Yeah, I think it was one of the fights that I told him. I was like, I think I've seen someone fight. But yeah,
interesting.
No, so there's been a couple.
There's a lot of stuff like that in boxing.
And then actually it was really cool with Thompson Boxing. I got to see Honey Torres fight. Yeah, and actually all my friends are friends with his friends. They like grew up together, so they all knew him. And it was funny because I didn't tell anyone I was doing that fight. I just showed up, and then I got a couple messages while I was sitting there, and they're like, "Are you at Thompson Boxing?" I was like, "Yeah." Why? And they're like, "Honey Torres is fighting." I was like, "Yeah." I was like, he's one of the later fights, why? And they're all like, we grew up with him. And they're like, we're watching you on live right now. And they're all sending me screenshots.
Oh, wow.
And then we're in the ring taking pictures after. And I was like, you know my friend so-and-so, you know my friend so-and-so. And he's like, no way. So we had the same group of friends. So it worked out.
Shout out to Ruben Torres, undefeated Ruben Torres, Thompson Boxing prospect.
No, and that was actually a really cool fight as well. Yeah.
That was actually just this past, November or something.
Yes,
like
that was the one I had done. Yeah. So at the end of the ring, because his fight went pretty fast.
Yeah.
And we're standing there, and he's like, I'm so sorry, I smell. I was like, you're fine, because we had to do the pictures after. And I was like, actually, no, so-and-so and so-and-so, they're watching us right now. And he's like, no way, we have to get a picture after. But we didn't even I left right after. I was so tired.
Oh, wow.
And then we didn't even cross paths when we were leaving, so.
Shout out to Ruben. Ruben's he's been on this show before.
Oh, really? Yeah. We actually had a lot of friends in common, so that was really cool.
Ace.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sharer Anthony Saldana says Ace. That's right. That's right.
Yeah, his fight was pretty good, actually. Yeah.
All right. You guys, did you check out the fight yesterday?
I didn't get to see it.
You didn't get to see it? You didn't get to see it? There was a fight yesterday, so Yuriorkis Gamboa.
Oh, my bad. Shit.
Yeah, you remember that?
I'm all over the place, yeah.
Yuriorkis Gamboa fought Gevonta Tank Davis at 135 pounds. So Tank Davis went from 130 pounds to 135 pounds. His first outing there. The thought being that at some point in the future, he'll challenge for a 135-pound title. So Tank Davis, leading into this, is kind of thought of as one of the next big things promoted by Floyd Mayweather. He has, we talked about Instagram and the importance of, finding people on Instagram. Even in boxers, for boxers, that's kind of a big thing now, right? Is how many tickets can you sell? What's your social media presence like? And things like that. Tank Davis has, I think it's 2 million followers or something like that on social media.
I'm sure after that fight too, it upped a lot as well.
You guys, let me know. I don't know what Tank's. I'm not well versed in social media, as you guys might tell, but
it had mixed emotions. That fight, I mean, for the casual fan, they'll be like, oh yeah, Tank knocked him out in the 12, blah blah blah. But if you really look at it, there was people talking about that fight versus a Canelo Kovalev, because it's kind of like you got a Canelo, and a Kovalev's kind of old already. So is Gamboa. You got a 25-year-old kid versus a almost 40-year-old fighter. They're saying that he couldn't even take him out early in the early rounds, and with torn Achilles.
That's true. So Big Serge just asked a question about that. He said, "How about the torn ACL? Was it determined that it was truly that 10 rounds with the torn ACL is crazy?" I have not seen anything that definitively said that he tore his ACL. Now, I'm not saying that I don't believe he's injured, but for somebody to compete with a torn ACL and move around the ring the way he did would be very, very surprising. An Achilles tendon injury.
I think they were saying it was his Achilles.
Yeah,
right? They were taping his shoe.
Yeah, they were taping his shoe and stuff like that. But
ACL was up here, right?
Oh yeah, I don't know the difference. Yeah. Serge probably does.
Yeah, the ACL was up here.
Is it the ACL? They said it was the Achilles is actually what I'm talking about. Yeah, for somebody to compete for 10 rounds with a torn Achilles sounds crazy. You know what I mean? You see Achilles injuries and they have to carry guys off the pitch, off the ring, off the court, whatever it is, right? Yeah. One of my friends he had said Achilles, I think. Yeah. So maybe it was a torn ACL for that matter. But I haven't seen any definitive evidence if you guys have.
Right. Yeah, but Serge said Achilles.
Yeah, the Achilles.
And I had a friend that had her Achilles tear like that, and she just went down, boom, she just dropped, and that was it.
A lot of times you see guys in a basketball game, they'll tear their Achilles. They're carried off the court. You know what I mean?
It's funny to me because soccer games, basketball games, people go out and then you're just then they walk out like normal. So it's just sometimes I'm like, was it really that painful? And then you see boxers fight a whole fight with all bashed up, and you're like, okay, they were able to do that. So
yeah, I mean,
a big difference.
Speaking of all bashed up, that's kind of what happened to Yuriorkis Gamboa. And I know some people weren't okay with the stoppage, so I've seen a few comments on Facebook. You guys, let me know what you think about the stoppage in the Gamboa fight in the comments down below. It was merciful, is the way that I thought of it. So he was stopped in the 12th round. There was no count. Jack Reese did not count. But I was actually saying, if you look at my Facebook comments, I wish they would have stopped that fight 4 rounds before that. You know what I mean? I wish his corner would have said, you know what, I don't need to see a guy who's 36 years old kind of just taking that much punishment, because it's not like he was competitive. He was losing every round. And I think the thing that surprised a lot of people, the expectation was Tank Davis is going to lay this guy out. He's an old Gamboa. He's a shell of his former self. They're going to take this guy out in just a few rounds.
But you got to remember too what they were saying. He was only throwing about 15 punches per round.
Yeah, exactly.
So to kind of put it together, the way I saw it, I mean, Gamboa was still cracking him. He was cracking a couple. I mean, he wasn't devastating him or anything in any way, but he was still popping.
He wasn't winning a round though.
Yeah,
that's the thing. You're 8 rounds in, you haven't won a round.
I think they were gambling more of him running out of gas.
You're 8 rounds in, you haven't won a round. This guy is just landing power shot after power shot, and everybody asks okay, maybe Tank couldn't carry the power up to 135. Maybe he's not as powerful. Maybe that's the case. Maybe Yuriorkis Gamboa is just a better opponent than he's faced recently. Gamboa he's an Olympian. He's a guy who is, you know what I mean? He's been in there with Terrence Crawford. He's somebody who has competed at a high level. So you could consider this a step up, even though it's an aging Gamboa. Right. And I say all the time that, the higher you get in this, the less people just lay down, right? There's levels to it. The higher you get, the less people are just going to go down from hard, different shots. In this case, it did not do Gamboa any favors. He's just taking shot after shot upstairs and wasn't really going away. And I wish that his corner would have seen that and just stopped it. So I don't know. You guys let me know, but I thought it was too much. He didn't need to get beat up like that.
I think sometimes more it's the pride thing as well.
Yeah, he probably didn't want to get beat up by the old younger fighter, you know.
Yeah, well, that's true.
He knew what he was coming for at a certain point too.
Well, he did, and I'll say this: Serge said big heart by Gamboa, and I agree. I think that he showed tremendous heart in that fight. I think he could have continued and finished the fight. He just didn't need to. He's not going to gain anything from it. He wasn't going to win a world title. And even if he won a round, he wasn't going to win the fight. So at the end of the day, I felt like he didn't need to. And I agree. So Serge said he verbalized that he couldn't continue. He absolutely did.
Yeah,
I'm surprised that they even let the fight go on. In the second round, he said to Jack Reeks, he said to his corner, that he couldn't go because of the injury that he had sustained in that round, or in the corner in between rounds. And they pushed him to go out there and I think take more of a beating than he needed to take. And there wasn't really an ace. There wasn't an upside for Gamboa. That's the thing. Yeah. He didn't gain anything. All he did was just get beat for more rounds.
Yeah,
that's all that happened.
I think what happened too was he probably gave up on himself, and then they pushed him. They kind of saw it. You know what, you can go more. Finally, when he got in there, he was like, you know what, maybe I can. And then maybe he had that. You know, they say it's not the dog in the fight; it's the fight in the dog. You know what I mean? Maybe he said, you know what, screw it. I might as well go down. You know, I might as well. Yeah. You know. That's the way it looks. I
appreciate Warriors always want to go out on their shield.
Yeah. I think every boxer probably that goes in.
Yeah, like Warriors always want to go out on their shield. They always think it's a good idea. But that's why there's layers of protection. That's why there's referees there. That's why your corner is there. Those people are supposed to care for you and tell you, like, no, it's not your night. Yeah. You know, it's not for you tonight. This is not for you. And I wish that had happened to Gamboa is kind of my impression. I wish somebody would have told him, you know what, tonight's it's not for you. Right? like maybe another night, but not tonight. Right. But I don't know. I saw a lot of people who were dissatisfied with the stoppage. You guys let me know what you think down in the comments below. Outside of that, there's another fight on that card that I want to talk about very quickly. Badou Jack competing. You're already shaking your head.
Badou Jack, he's came back from how many, draws? 2 draws? And it's a split decision. It's like, come on, man.
The guy has been on the wrong end of a lot of split decisions and draws and things like that for sure. And this was one of them.
Yeah.
So this is the same thing. Badou Jack and Jean Pascal, one of them 36 years old, one of them 37 years old. They fought the very best at their divisions, 175 pounds. And they fought in a very close fight that Jean Pascal won a split decision, 114, 112. Both men were knocked down. Competitive fight. It was actually a very well-matched fight. I've said on this program a number of times, it doesn't take great fighters to make great fights. What it takes is 2 people who are just well-matched. They're kind of evenly matched for each other. And this is what we saw. And in this instance, I thought that Badou Jack had done enough. I thought he did enough. You guys let me know. I'm curious to hear what everyone's take on it is. It was a very close fight. But he equalized the knockdown, so he had been knocked down. You might say that makes a difference, but he went and got the knockdown back in the 12th round. He did most of the work in the second half of the fight. He started off very slow, I agree, but I think that you can make a case for him winning a round or 2 in the early going. And at the end of the day, I thought that he did enough. So I think they got the wrong guy last night. Jean Pascal got to keep his title.
Yeah.
I think they got the wrong guy.
I think that's probably one of the reasons why they did it, because since he already had the title, they weren't just going to say, okay, here, he had to beat him.
Yeah.
You
hear that a lot.
You know how it is, yeah.
I know exactly how it is. It doesn't make it right.
It doesn't
make it right, man. People say that that whole take it from the champ. Like one guy has to work harder for some reason. I'll never understand. I don't understand the philosophy. Someone's got to explain it to me. Why does one fighter have to work hard?
On the way here about my friend who was going to train, and then he was just like, it's just not worth it. Remember about the Miguel? How I told you I was like, oh yeah, he was training me in this fight, and he's just like,
because we're talking about the payday.
They wanted him to go against an Olympian, and he was just an amateur, and he's like, it's not, I can't. He's just like, I can't.
They wanted him pretty much to be a punching bag.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's got to be difficult.
And that happens a lot. I mean, unfortunately,
Sure it does. It happens a lot.
You see guys go in there that shouldn't even be in there, and you're just like, oh my God, wow, this guy's gonna destroy him, and it happens.
I think last year I picked. We were doing around this time. We did like Fighter of the Year, Fight of the Year, and stuff like that. And I picked this dude who fought like 12 times in the year and lost all 12 times. His overall record was like he literally had hundreds of losses and like single-digit wins. Straight up like a professional boxer who has like 100 and something losses, single-digit wins. The guy fights at least once a month. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. But there's plenty of people like that.
Yeah,
there's
a guy at my gym. It's so hilarious. They call him 007 because he's always saying he's training. He's always picking fights with people and stuff. Nobody really knew who he was. And then all of a sudden we look at his record and everything. It's 007, 0 wins, 0 draws, and 7 losses.
7 losses?
It is hilarious, man.
He's picking fights with people?
Yeah, he's picking fights. And,
I feel like if you're a boxer, you shouldn't be picking fights with people for a number of reasons. But one is because anytime you fight, you need to be getting paid.
Right.
That's it. If you're a boxer, or a mixed martial artist, when you fight, you need to be getting paid. Don't go fighting people for free. People pay to see that stuff. Don't pick fights in bars. Don't pick fights at the gym. If you're fighting, you got to get paid.
That's the only fight they can win, though.
Right. Maybe. But I don't know. I feel like if that's your craft,
you're a bully.
Sorry, not sorry.
If that's your craft, right? You got to get paid for that. Don't go fight people for free. That's crazy. You train your whole life.
I think
so
no one should work
fight.
for free. That's the thing, because it sets bars for everyone.
We're talking about photographers work for free all the time.
We were talking about this on the way in.
I do this at a cost, man.
Right? I pay
to do this, yeah.
To get beat up every day by
us. Not to get beat up, just to do this show. No, that's my message to boxers today. If you're a boxer, don't pick fights with anybody.
Don't pick fights for
never
free.
Never fight for free. Never fight for free.
He's saying don't pick fights for free. That's what he's saying.
I am.
He's all like, you want to put money on this, you can take
exactly.
it.
If you have trained your whole life at this craft and you want to, then don't just go pick a fight with someone randomly. You need to be getting paid every time you're going to lay hands on someone. That's my opinion.
What we were talking about too was the fact that these guys go through, say, a 3-month camp, right?
Yeah.
You got your strength and conditioning. You got your boxing coach, all your stuff, your food, supplements, and everything. You know what I mean? And then you go, you fight for $1,000, $2,000. You know what I mean? And it sucks. That's.
Yeah, because you're talking about for them, they're not working, they're not doing anything. There's a couple of boxers at my gym as well, and they're there all the time. Like every morning, every night, they're there like doing their cardio. And then you see a lot of them on their Instagram. It's like midnight, 1 a.m. and they're running, they're doing their cardio, and just to.
These fighters, they dedicate their lives, their time, everything and many of them from the time that they are young, until they're my age and beyond, right? So older. No.
Well, you see it, but you start to see it like, what's the little kid's name that I told you? Arturo? Is it Arturo? Yeah, like you see them starting them young. There's some little kids you see ringside, and they're there watching, and they're like living and breathing it in. That's going to be them when they're older.
So many people who are on this show, it's a question that comes up all the time. At what age did you start doing this? 8 years old, 7 years old, 6 years old, right? They're competing by the time they're young men, like preteens.
Like Roxy, look at Roxy going all the way to Poland, to go, going out of state. All these Olympic fighters, they're the Olympic hopefuls.
Absolutely,
they're paying all this money to train, for equipment and all their gear. I mean, traveling, eating, it's insane, man. Like, I feel bad. I'm like, something's got to change. I mean, some of these billionaires or millionaires, hook up the little guys,
You know that I agree. You know that I do.
Yeah, exactly.
But
that's why the foundation
also
exists.
Don't see what goes into a fight sometimes too. It's just like they don't see what happens before that. These people had no social life before. Like there's nothing, and so they just like wake up and train and go to sleep and wake up and train and do it all over again.
Yeah. You guys are the only ones that I see get cheered all the time. Boxing fans are fickle sometimes. They are, man. Boxing fans can be fickle. But if there's not a lot of action going on
at least she gets whistled at. I don't get whistled at.
I'm telling you.
I'll whistle for you next time.
Here in LA, if there's not a lot of action going on around, you're going to catch some boos, man. People are.
I think I've seen a couple like that too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's not even necessarily a bad fight. It's just that two people who are kind of having a chess match. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
They'll get booed
I
out of the
told him
building.
sometimes we're sitting on the side and we're like, come on, KO. let's go. We're just sitting there waiting because it's just like you're just sitting there sometimes.
She's over there doing the movement. It's like,
Do you get into it?
Yeah.
The head movement and all that stuff?
I'm all sitting there training myself.
Somebody's walking by, she punches somebody.
Have you ever trained in boxing before?
No, we've actually been saying that he wants to train because I watch his daughter. I'm like, damn, your daughter's gonna be up here one day. Because I just see her fight sometimes. I'm like, dang, your daughter's up there, man.
It's an excellent workout. Like, even if you don't...
I know.
Even
I
if you
really
don't-
want to.
Yeah.
No, I want to.
No, you don't.
I'm ready to fight you. No, you're kidding.
She's
I'll
trying to
film
put the
it
gloves
after
on.
this. You want to do it? We'll do a
Let's do
sparring
it.
session. We'll do a sparring session after this. We got the equipment here. We'll film it. Put it on
We're ready.
YouTube. I'll make you
dope.
guys YouTube famous.
Right? Like Logan Paul and right? KSI.
No, I just want to see your daughter beat you up in the ring.
I want to see my daughter beat you up too.
No, I'm
Funny.
saying you.
I'm just kidding.
But also, you guys, I want to make sure to leave time to say, where can we follow you at? Where should we Instagram, you were saying? That's the one?
Instagram, yeah. It's just at Amaris V. So Amaris VEE.
Her address is? I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Her phone number.
I'm just kidding.
In that case, my Venmo is. Just
Right?
kidding.
Yeah.
She only sells
Man.
socks.
Yeah. That was, you were telling me, so you, honestly, yeah, if you don't want to talk about it, that's fine. But before this, you get some pretty creepy
The DMs?
messages. Yeah.
I think a lot of models do. And not even, I don't think you even
She
have
was
the
in
model to
general.
get a weird DM. You should see his DMs. I'm kidding.
What the hell?
I don't want to see anybody's DMs.
No, I get some weird DMs.
But you do-
I do
you-
get some weird DMs.
You do get some weird messages,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Oh, man. So
But
do you
my
just
favorite-
delete, just straight delete?
Sometimes I ignore them, yeah. I just
Yeah.
Thinks
I
about
try
it.
not to even read them because the moment you read them, like they're gonna
People
know.
can see?
You can see. That's the thing with Instagram is you can see it. So it's just like it's just best you avoid it. Like it just depends.
She thinks about it more if she sees a Venmo.
Oh, man.
Oh my god.
I'm not envious of whatever's going on with your guys' Instagrams.
We should check yours.
Right?
See what you
Hey, we
get
should do a
in.
live check. Your
There's,
DM.
there's
Yeah.
nothing
No.
in mine. You're not going to find anything in mine.
It's always in those the separate inbox of people who you don't follow.
You know what's funny? I didn't even realize that was a thing, and I would get messages on Instagram, like it would vibrate and tell me I have a message, and then I would click on it and
You wouldn't see
not
nothing,
see it
right?
there.
Yeah,
It
it's in
took
that
me
separate.
like a month to figure out that there's a separate
Yeah,
inbox.
honestly, I didn't either, and then I went in and I was like, like I was like, my bad. But yeah.
Where can we follow you at, man?
Elma here Photography on Instagram. Combat Sports Collective on Instagram as well. Twitter is, I think, I don't think I've changed it, but I think it's still OD Wheelman.
Oh, yeah, so Twitter.
And then Facebook, it's Combat Sports Collective on Facebook and Luis Mejia on Facebook. I'm a little savvy.
You're a little savvy.
Yeah.
You got it all.
A little
Combat
bit.
Sports Collective and Luis Mejia.
Yeah. I'm trying here. I'm hustling.
All right. And for me, of course, you guys are already following me probably because you're on this, but I'll shout it out there anyway because I'll post it on YouTube and some other things later. So you can follow me at Just Boxing Live on Facebook, at Just Boxing Live on Instagram, and I will at some point have a Twitter. People keep telling me that I need to get a Twitter in order to do all this fight stuff that I'm doing. So I'll try my best to get a Twitter and figure out how to manage that. Maybe you guys could show me how after this. You guys
We'll
seem like the
teach you.
experts.
We'll
Yeah,
teach you.
you could teach me in this. Any other shout outs or anything like that you want to give before we sign off for the day?
Maybe my crew, Andy,
course.
Fitzsmith, Mark, at Combat Sports Training, my buddy Steve, always having my back, and everybody else who I haven't mentioned because I got a brain fart right now, but yeah, just everybody in general.
How about you?
Probably EV Agency USA. That's my main agency I work with. So if you're looking to book me or book any ring girls, you can always hit them up or hit me up on Instagram.
Yeah, Top Rank. That's for you.
Yeah, we're waiting for you, Top Rank.
I'm going to give a shout out to Paco Perez. Paco, you're supposed to be working, man. You're supposed to be working here today. Appreciate you. I love you very much. All your support. Thank you. Thanks for joining us. That's all I got for you this week. I'll be back with you guys next week. Peace.
Peace out.